First of all, I would like to thank welcome and thank the Honorable Mr. Zhang Yongming, Vice President of the MIIT, the Honorable Mr. Zhao Haolin, Secretary General of the ITU, the Honorable Mr. Ke Ruiwen, Chairman of China Telecom, and the Honorable Mr. Xiao Guanglu, President of China Telecom. Of course, I also want to welcome the members of the World Broadband Alliance and the other attendees here today in this event. The title of my presentation is Let There Be Light, and I chose this title for two reasons. First of all, as has already been pointed out by the other speakers, there are many households, many people in the world that are still not connected. And as an industry, we need to make sure that we bring broadband, we bring light, we bring fiber broadband to those people. Second, I believe another important obligation and an important role for the World Broadband Association to play is to influence, to educate, to enlighten policymakers around the world, investors, media, and even the general public about the importance of broadband and to make sure that investment in broadband and broadband rollouts are accelerated. Nokia is extremely proud to be working together with the other members in the World Broadband Association, like China Telecom and Huawei, to make this happen. And we encourage everyone else to join the World Broadband Association and help us achieve this goal. Now, if we look at the state of broadband, yes, many households, many people still need to be connected. But we've made enormous progress over the past decades. Only 20 years ago, a megabit per second was the fastest speed you could get. Today, driven by innovators and pioneers like China and China Telecom, the world has been moving to fiber. Many countries around the world now offer gigabit services to residential users, even multi-gigabit services. We see countries with 2 gig, 4 gig, 8 gig, 10 gig, even 25 gig services now exist today. So enormous progress has been made, but of course, there's a lot of work to be done. Now, in order to achieve this goal, I think two things are important. So first of all, yes, we need to connect everyone and make sure that everyone has access to services like digital education, digital health, etc. This will be very critical to bridge the digital divide. But we also make sure that it's not enough to just connect people. We also need to make sure that everyone gets access to a good broadband service, to enough speed so that they can access the services that they need. And also here, as an industry, we've come a very long way. The first mainstream fiber technologies were GPON and EPON. Today, we are in the 10 gigabit era with XGPON, like XGPON 1 and XGS-PON. And as an industry, we are already working on the next steps. 25 gig is already available today. Next is 50 gig PON. And we've already shown that 100 gigabit per second is possible. And that's not the end of it. Fiber technology will continue to evolve to meet the needs of any application, any service that we will be able to think of. Now, one of the things that the World Broadband Association has identified is that faster is no longer enough. Yes, as an industry, we tend to talk about speeds. I did the exact same thing when I started this presentation. I started talking about gigabits and 10 gigabit, but speed alone is not enough. Other aspects of connectivity are equally important. It's about adding greater intelligence to the network. It's about making the network more reliable and making the performance more consistent. It's about making the network greener, and it's about adding additional sensing capabilities and enhancing the connectivity overall. So this is part of the report that or part of the work that the World Broadband Association has been working on, and it's a very important observation. Speed is no longer enough. We need to care about these other aspects as well. Other work that the World Broadband Association has been doing, and which Martin Kriener has already mentioned, is the generational roadmap. This is important because it gives the industry and even the general audience an easy way to talk about successive generations of broadband. And one thing that I particularly like is the following. If you look at this generational roadmap, you see some of the services that you would expect to see. You see the evolution from HD TV to 4K TV to 8K TV. You see the introduction of virtual reality, augmented reality. You see the introduction of the metaverse, etc., etc. But you also see non-residential use cases appearing. You see mission-critical applications on this roadmap. And I believe that this is a very important evolution for the broadband network. Because yes, we're building broadband networks initially to connect consumers, to connect homes. But if you think about it, a fiber to the home network, for example, a broadband network is not just a network that connects homes, but it's actually an infrastructure that passes every street and every building. So yes, you can use that network to connect homes, but you can use that same network to connect universities, to connect hospitals, to connect smart city infrastructure, to connect mobile small cells, for example. So one of the important evolutions that we see is it's not just about connecting more people and making sure that they get good speeds, but it's also making sure that we use this infrastructure, which is actually an incredible asset, also for other purposes. And many people will say, yes, we've been talking about this for a long time. Why will this happen today? And I believe a number of technologies are now coming together to make this possible. First of all, there's the ever-increasing capacity. Today, we're talking about gigabit speeds and 10 gigabit speeds. So the capacity is there on the network. But there are also easy ways to use that capacity for different purposes. Thanks to software-defined networking, thanks to programmable networks, you can actually slice them. And you can program the network so that different slices can easily support different services. So you can use one slice for residential services, you can use another slice for enterprise services, for example. And in addition, the network technology keeps getting more reliable, keeps getting greener. So all the technical evolutions are now here to actually make sure that the broadband network can also be used for more than connecting people. Now, I started this presentation by talking about one of the missions of the World Broadband Association. An important one, in my opinion, is advocacy. It's influencing policymakers and investors, encouraging them to accelerate, to do everything they can to accelerate the rollout of broadband networks, to accelerate the investment in broadband. And actually, this should be an easy job, because if you think about it, broadband is actually a fantastic thing. Broadband is actually what helps us bridge the digital divide, and what politician, what government doesn't want this. But broadband is also a technology, an infrastructure that unlocks innovation. By providing gigabit speeds to everyone and every startup company and every company, we actually remove any barriers for innovation. Any innovator, any startup company can think of an idea, a new service, a new application, and they know they will have the network capacity, the reliability to make it happen, and that every user out there will have enough bandwidth to use that service. And number 3, broadband also helps save the planet. Because of broadband, we enable remote meetings so that people have to travel less. There are fewer cars on the road, there are fewer planes in the air. Because of broadband, we can enable smart metering, so we can reduce the peak power consumption of homes and businesses. So broadband is absolutely critical to help save the planet. Finally, infrastructure. Broadband is an infrastructure that is absolutely future-proof. It will last for generations. The speeds will keep increasing. So broadband will evolve to meet future needs. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to present here. And Nokia looks forward to making the World Broadband Association a success. Thank you.